Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin Cycle, the show for short reviews of albums new and old. And today I'll be talking about the new album from Alestorm, No Grave But the Sea, which was released on May 26th, 2017. It's Comic-Con weekend here in Denver, so I figured I would go with something a little bit nerdy. In the metal world, a band like Alestorm, a pirate-themed metal band, is just my kind of nerdy. Alestorm originally formed in Perth, Scotland in 2004 as a power metal band called Battleheart, but they had some success with their song Heavy Metal Pirates, and from there they shifted to include more folk elements and incorporate pirate imagery more into their music. They worked inconsistently for a few years after joining up, with a few lineup changes over that period. But after sending a demo to Napalm Records, they were ultimately signed to the label, and they've been with Napalm since. Because of their pirate themes, they changed their name to Alestorm before releasing their first album in 2008, which was called Captain Morgan's Revenge. They started to gain more success with their subsequent records. In fact, their last album, Sunset on the Golden Age, reached #1 on the UK rock charts. They have received some critical acclaim as well on some of their records like Black Sails at Midnight and Back Through Time. But they've had a lot of turnover of band members. In fact, the only original band member is founding band member, vocalist and guitarist Christopher Bowes. But they have maintained their power folk sound. Musically, they definitely are power metal, but they have plenty of folk elements in there. The vocals, the themes, and the use of instruments like violins and accordions really give them that folk sound. Especially now, a lot of that folk sound comes from keyboardist Elliot Vernon. Certainly their appeal comes from the shanty-sounding songs and their outlandish image. This is a band that doesn't take themselves too seriously, which is a lot of fun, and you can hear that in their music and see that in their image. No Grave But the Sea is the band's 5th studio album following 2014's Sunset on the Golden Age. The album was released on Napalm Records, who's just been crushing it lately. It's a 10-song album, but there's a bonus edition that has all 10 songs with dog barking instead of the normal vocals, which is hardly a surprise coming from this band, because of course they would. There's finally an album you can enjoy with your dogs because they deserve it. The promotion for this album was really funny on social media, especially when they were talking about how bad vinyl sounds while pushing the vinyl version of the album. I'm relatively new to Alestorm. I've been listening to them within the last year, but I immediately enjoyed their style. It's catchy and it's funny, and I certainly have a soft spot for anything pirate or Viking. And while this album is a perfect addition to their repertoire, it's also predictable in that way. They succeed mostly with earworm songs like Mexico and Fucked with an Anchor, but these songs are right up there with their previous hits like Drink and Keelhauled. But it doesn't need to be that complicated because it's also very enjoyable. Sometimes it's simple, but it's always fun. Bo's vocals are distinct and they work well with the music here. I also really enjoy Vernon's vocal contribution to the album. He had some more harsh vocals to it, but he shines on keyboard throughout. My top 4 for the album is a really tough call. Mexico, because it feels like this song should be a joke, but it's a great sing-along shanty. Bar un Imbiss, which is probably the most shanty drinking song on the album, but that just makes it the most fun. As I mentioned, Fucked with an Anchor, because it is crude, it's vulgar, but it's also quite humorous. And then Rage of the Pentahook, which is one of the more aggressive songs on the album and certainly different than the other 3, but musically it's absolutely a solid song. My favorite song, though, has to be Alestorm, which is weird to me that the namesake song is on the 5th album. Usually you see that on the 1st album, but it's a jolly good fun song, and it perfectly sums up everything great about this band.
Rum, beer, quest and meat. These are the things that a pirate needs. Raise the flag and let's set sail. Under the side of a storm or veil. Rum, beer.
Overall, I describe this album the same way I describe the band. It's a lot of fun. That being said, it's still part of their established shtick. Sure, they try a few new things here and there, but it is unmistakably an Alestorm album. But if we give Grammys to pop stars because their songs are catchy, then Alestorm deserves the same kind of recognition because these songs are addictive. No Grave But the Sea is right in line with the Sunset on the Golden Age, which is both a compliment to their particular style and a warning if you think they might give you something different this time. They do what they love and probably don't care what anyone else says, because it works. My top 5 for the week are songs from superhero movies. Live to Rise by Soundgarden off of the Avengers soundtrack. It was an interesting return to form for Soundgarden, and to be featured on the Avengers was even better. R.I.P. Chris. My Immortal by Evanescence from Daredevil. This was my first exposure to Evanescence was through the movie Daredevil, and this song just immediately became one of my favorites. Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen from Watchmen. That movie used music really well, and this is one that was certainly a stark use of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Face to Face by Susie and the Banshees from Batman Returns. I absolutely loved this song as a kid, and it sets the tone of what is a dark and amazingly gothic Batman movie. And then Broken by Seether featuring Amy Lee from The Punisher. Thomas Jane's Punisher is underrated in my opinion, and even though this song isn't featured prominently, it is in the movie, and is certainly a beautiful rendition of the song with Amy Lee's vocals blended in with Sean Morgan's. Let me know your thoughts on Alestorm's new album, No Grave But the Sea, if you enjoy their particular style of fun pirate music. And that does it for this episode of Spin Cycle, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.